conservation station. Since the 1930s, Disney animators have put their pencils to paper in service of the idea that the greatest inspiration often comes from the magic of nature. Walt Disney himself understood the importance of spending time around animals, studying their behavior and personalities in order to create realistic characters and dynamic storylines. This meeting of the human and animal worlds sparked a legacy of storytelling that has shaped our relationship with animals and conservation forever. Today, we invite you to become a part of that legacy as our own Disney artists help you learn to sketch characters inspired by the very animals found here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Get your pencils ready, because here comes our animation artist now.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Are y'all having fun? Yeah! Thank you guys so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to draw with you guys today. By the way, my name is Heather, so hi to everybody out there. Hi. Sporting the team's shirts here. I love it. Before we get started, does anybody know who we're drawing today? TikTok, you guys are so good. We're going back to the classics with Peter Pan and that traditional animation there. But we need to be prepared too. So we need to make sure we have a few materials, like a paper, of course, and it's got some ovals on it and some lines. Don't know what to call that shape, but we're just going to go with it. Pencils and a clipboard. If you're missing any of these three materials, please raise your hand. My friends around the room will be able to get what you need. And then also, if your pencil breaks during class, just raise your hand. We'll come out to you and replace your pencil, or if you just need anything, we'll come out to you and help you out a little bit. One other thing we are missing in order to make that magic happen on our papers, we want to make sure we keep our magic on our paper and having fun and enjoying ourselves. But we need to kind of study those animals to make them feel real to us on the screen. And that usually happens like Walt Disney did. We bring an animal right here, and we kind of study it. We can't bring a real crocodile into you today. Sorry. They're out in the safaris if you want to visit them later if you go on the safaris. So we sent film crews right here at Disney's Animal Kingdom so we can study it for you. So how about we take a look at that inspiration right now?
Meet Blue, a Nile crocodile. With so many crocodiles in one place, you may have a tough time figuring out which one is Blue. It might be easier to talk about some of the most likely places to find him and the posse he hangs out with. Crocodiles have complex social relationships and guard spaces that are important to them. Where to get food, where to swim, or where to bask in the sun. Maintaining a premium basking place is important to Blue and all crocodiles, because basking is one of the ways that they regulate their body temperature. At the moment, it's hot, so Blue is staying in the water. He and the other three crocodiles he spends his time with, Ben, Grady, and Kern, tend to stake out a shady spot around the bridge for themselves. Swimming directly at another animal with the tail raised is a way to say, "This is my space, buddy." Even though there are plenty of basking spots for all, in the winter months, this little patch of real estate is the place to be. The crocodile who basks here is like the person who always gets the comfy chair in the TV room, or the seat at the head of the table. Blue and the three others frequent this area. Ben and Grady are usually the muscle of the operation, and keep the other animals out of their spot. How do we keep up with everything going on amongst Blue and his friends? There's a team that observes them closely.
We do a lot of observations with our crocodiles on the exhibit. I can't always be out there as much as I love to. The great thing is that we have cameras all throughout the enclosure that allow us to see the crocodiles from pretty much anywhere, like this computer here.
You can see all of the Nile crocodiles when you ride Kilimanjaro safaris. You'll know just where to find Blue and his squad, in their VIP section.
Pretty cool, right? And we can find things that we can relate to them as well. Like that crocodile has to have his own spot. Like we have that family member that has to have the place on the couch or the head of the table, right? So it's kind of cool to kind of find those stories. And does anybody know how TikTok got his name? By any chance? Yeah, he swallowed a clock one time in his belly. So he will never be late to work or school. So I zoomed in a little bit on our oval here so we can focus on the second and the third horizontal lines from the top of the paper. And what I like to do is look to the left of that vertical guideline. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make a mark to the left of that because that's where I want the inner part of my eye to be. So just kind of just a little hair away. Now the top part of the eye is going to rest right there on the top horizontal line and the bottom horizontal line. So it kind of gives you guys that idea. And what I like to do is just go ahead and draw in an oval in between those areas. And this is kind of like a tilted egg there, or a weeble wobble. And you notice I don't have any erasers too. We're here at the Animation Experience. So we're here to just kind of draw our lines on our paper. And part of the cleanup artist's job is to go over some of our good lines and kind of tidy them up a little bit. The other part, I'm going to let either you do at home or maybe have your neighbor do it for you if you want to give your neighbor or a friend, somebody at home, a chance to erase some of those bad lines that we like. Because we got lots of white lines in there, and that's where our cleanup artists will come in and erase that too. So once you get that in there, we got to do the other eye. So I want between the second and the third horizontal lines once again, and I'm going to use kind of the end of that line is where the end of the eye is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch out where the eyeball is going to be. And do it several times just to kind of get a feel of it and how I want that oval to come through. And then once you get something you like, you can go ahead and trace over it. Just nice and smooth. And take your time a little bit with it. Just kind of get that nice smooth line. You don't have to press down hard to get a dark line, because of course that does kind of hurt your hands later on. Just gotta be gentle with it, with the pencil and the paper. And then we got the iris that you can put in first, and that's going to usually be right there in the side corner of the eye. We're going to draw in an oval. But we want to kind of make him look a little bit determined. He's very intelligent as a character, very charismatic, but he has determinations in there, and Captain Hook he hangs out with a little bit in the movie on the right side. We'll take the inside of his iris. And there, drawing that egg shape. And again, I'm just drawing in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then the pupil, I'm going to go ahead and place that in there on each inside the middle of the ones we just drew. And then we're going to go ahead and shade in the pupil part. And this is the inner circle we just put in there. Make it a little bit darker there. And there you go. You got his eyes. So we're going to go in there now. We're going to go ahead and place in his eyebrows. And I like to use my eyes to help us out with that. So I got the inner curve of the eye already there for us. So we're going to kind of curve off of that up above the top of the oval, and you're going to make a backward 6. So it kind of hovers over the top of the eye, still staying below the top horizontal line. Get that backward 6, or it's a hook. That helps. Sorry. Kind of keep with the Peter Pan references there. And then I'm going to make a line underneath it, kind of thicken that line up just a tiny bit in the middle. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Get that nice thick eyebrow. Go ahead and do the eyebrow on the right side. We're going to do actually a number 6 or another hook. We're going to curve off with the right eye. It's going to raise up above that top horizontal line. and just kind of let it hover over the top there. And then I like to give a little bit of thickness in the middle of the eyebrow, so if it helps you to kind of draw like another line right underneath, just in the middle only. And you can shade in to make that darker. Or just go over the line several times and then eventually thickens up. We're going to take the curve of the left eye and pull this down, following that same curve around. It's going to go below this horizontal line that's kind of crooked there or at an angle. We're going to bring it in toward the horizontal line, about halfway between the vertical guideline, left side of the oval. That's where it's going to come right back up to that horizontal line, and it's going to curve around. Let's give it, you know what, give it a little more of a curve up above the horizontal line too as well. Give them a couple of dimples. And you can see I just kind of sketched that in at first, and then we just smooth it out. And then, of course, he's got, I like to call them laugh lines, not wrinkles. So we're just going to draw a curved line directly underneath the bottom of the left eye, in between that and that line we just made. It's the same curve, just a little bit smaller, about pretty much a little bit past the side of the eye. So what you did on one side, we're going to kind of do on the other side, but opposite. So I take the inside curve of the eye. We're going to curve down to this angled horizontal line, and you can turn your paper and clipboard if it's easier for you. I'm going to keep mine straighter just to kind of make that easier for you guys to see. So that's whatever you do, whatever you want to do there. I'm going to trace over the horizontal line, and then right when I get about halfway between the side of the eye and the side of the circle, that's where this dimple is going to curve down. And I'll show you. With this negative space, it kind of makes a triangle right here. So you can kind of see certain shapes come through in the drawing, whether it's a positive or negative shape here. And then also, we're going to put in a couple laugh lines, as I like to call them, underneath the eye. This makes it a little more fun. And then we're going to do two of them on the right side. So I'm going to do another one just directly underneath there. But with the eyebrows, he needs like an umbrella above his head. Or his head. It's kind of a little more square. And then what might help you, if you look at this top horizontal line, that's kind of where the top of his head's going to be. So let's go ahead. Out there in the middle, it's going to kind of reach there. And then also on the right side, I'm just going to go up in the horizontal line. That's the topmost part of his eye or head. We're going to curve this around, kind of follow, you can follow the curve of the eyebrow to kind of help you out, and it's going to come right back into the oval. And this kind of doesn't touch the dimple, just kind of let it hang out by itself. Again, I just kind of sketched it in, just kind of round it off a little bit. Now the right side, what's going to happen, it's going to hop from here to this vertical guideline right over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and create just a curved line going down to that vertical guideline. Make it easy for ourselves. We're going to go straight down the vertical guideline till you get to about where the iris is going to go. Once it gets to about the iris, I'm going to let it just kind of peep over that vertical guideline, just cross it. Let's give it a little peep over there. And then on the right side, we're going to do like a V shape here. I'm going to curve up. And then what's going to happen right about the same, well, let's go a little bit above that line that we did where it tilts down. And it's going to kind of hop over to that horizontal line up at the top. And then it's going to, once you're going to get that in there, you're going to round it off. And then bring it right back into the oval. It's kind of, it's the top part of his head there. And again, I just kind of sketched it out at first. Go ahead and smooth out our lines a little bit on either side. But we're not done yet. I like to focus on the top half and just kind of move down to the bottom of our paper here. And we're going to go ahead and go from the inside corner of his head. We're going to curve over to the side of the oval and trace over part of that. Just in the middle only. So you can do the right side together as well. And there's the inside corner of the head. Just kind of curve it into the side of the oval. It's going to follow the curve of the oval just a little bit in the middle. So what it's going to happen, it's going to come down the side of the oval, but we look back up here at that dimple. Okay, so we're going to come down to about where the bottom of the oval is from that dimple. You can make a mark right about there if you need to. Once you go to that area, you're just going to kind of separate away from the oval and just kind of let it just hang out in the space. It's just like a little tail hanging out in space there. Speaking of tails, crocodiles do have them. You know, we're not drawing it. Use it for speed and strength in the water. And then over here on the right side, dimple. Come down to about the side and the bottom of the oval there. And then right about that spot, you're just going to kind of break away from the oval, give it a little tail or whatever you want to call that. And you got his cheekbones in there. But he's got a cute neck. He is a cute character, I think. We're going to draw a curved line for his neck. And then right underneath that, it's going to upside down Y. Right there. Right side, right there at that dot, you're going to draw a line going down. This kind of looks like an arrow when I put this next line in there. So again, I find shapes in there to help us out. So one difference between crocodiles and alligators, the snouts are more pointed and longer. So that's one thing we're going to work on with the snout right here in the middle, and that's where that oval is going to come into place. I know you're wondering about it, right? So that's what's going to help us out a little bit. And then we can look at the vertical guideline in the top of that oval. So that's kind of where that point is going to kind of happen for our snout. So on the left side, I look at the top of the oval and the bottom of the oval. I'm going to find, let's just go ahead. This is about where the halfway point of the oval is. Okay, just a little bit below the bottom of the circle. So this will help us out. What we're going to do, we're going to curve across to that line. Okay, it's going to peek outside the oval there. Just a tiny bit. Just give it a curve outside. And then we're going to give it a hook right into that vertical guideline. Now, Tip Top has been seen in other films. That's Peter Pan, Return to Neverland, of course. He is in Back to Neverland, if you guys remember the Magic of Disney animation attraction. When feature animation was actually in there. There was this great film that starred Robin Williams. So really, really cool. And then Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers he was in. And, of course, Jake and the Neverland Pirates. For you Jake and the Neverland Pirates fans, probably some of the kids watched that one. I'm going to pull this in. On this top part of the snout, we're going to start to kind of picture like a clam or an oyster, something like that. Or on top of a mushroom, whatever helps you out. This next part is technically his gums that we're going to draw. So I'm going to follow the bottom of that circle. I'm going to come in roughly about halfway between that line we just made and the bottom of the oval. And we're going to curve around to the side of the oval. This is technically his gums. Before I move into the teeth, and we're in this area up in the top part of his snout, I'm going to draw in his nostrils. So I'm going to look at the bottom of the oval. We have the vertical guideline and the left side of his snout. I'm going to draw in an oval to start with for his nostril. And then just kind of take the top part of the oval, draw a line. It kind of looks like an eyelash curving off of that oval for his nostril. And then on the right side, I like to call them splashes of water. I'm just going to draw the next oval just up above the big oval. And then just take the top of the oval, kind of curve down toward the inside. give it like an eyelash kind of thing, or whatever you want to call it. And then he's got his teeth in there that we're going to place in. He's got the crocodiles, you can see teeth on the top and the bottom, or alligators, you just see them on the top. And what I like to do for the left tooth, and these are, you have fun with them. They're teeth. Just enjoy yourself when you draw in teeth. They're not supposed to be specific, and they're all unique to each crocodile. So I'm going to do one here. I'm going to double it up over here on the right side, and maybe draw one full like candy corn shape over there on the right side. Then that one right beside it is a little bit overlapped on top of the other one. And then his bottom lip kind of sticks out, so maybe you have that puppy dog look on your face sometimes. When your lip sticks out, his lip kind of does the same thing. So we look at the bottom of the oval, just kind of below it. In between the two teeth, you're going to draw in a curved line. Okay. Bless you. And then we're going to draw just right here up against the gums. Just draw a curved line going down. Right there. So when we look at the snout and this big long muzzle there, it's going to kind of come out as an angle. So I want to kind of visualize that. Now some people, if it's easier to kind of draw a very, very, very light straight line from the top of the muzzle to that dimple, this might help you out. Again, very, very light. If you do draw it in there, that can help you out. I like to start with the dimple. And I'm going to curve down toward the horizontal line, kind of like doing a parenthesis. In fact, we'll just do the right side too. Start with the dimple, kind of come out. And draw in this parenthesis, framing it. Now it's going to curve in a little bit. It kind of gets a little more wrinkly as it comes down to the bottom. So what I like to do, if you look kind of where the vertical guideline and the side of the oval there, that's about halfway, going from here to there. So I'm going to come in right there from that little light line. You're going to curve into that mark. You can make a curve. We call them S-curves in animation. For any animation fans out there. And then we're just going to do a little bitty S-curve right there. I always like to think for you girls out there that curl your hair with a curling iron. As you get down to the bottom of your curl, it gets tighter. So I like to think of it as that curl, if that helps a little bit. And then right there, see where the vertical guideline is? Right down there. That's where it kind of curves in. And we'll just kind of give it a little bit of a light, just a light touch down to that muzzle. Because I do need to add an extra tooth just right here at the top of that muzzle. So we're just going to bring this around and give him that upper tooth there. And then, I want to add one extra wrinkle right here underneath the dimple on the right side, but we want to add in his gums too. The right side is fairly easy. We're just going to copy what we just did on the right side. Just do the same thing. Duplicate that line. And on the left side, this one, all you have to do, see kind of where we made that mark right there in the center, and you got the dimple. You're going to duplicate this line right here only. Just kind of do that. Again, I just kind of do that old parenthesis line there. And then we have that in there. And then we're going to go ahead and place in a few wrinkles right there in the middle. And these are not specific, just have fun. Don't want to touch the sides, so just want to stay kind of by itself in the middle. And then, of course, right here between the angles, and I'm going to draw a longer one, the one we just drew, because you got more space there. And just a tiny one in between these two horizontal lines that are really tiny right there. We're just going to draw just a tiny little line. Get that fun. But then for his teeth, I kind of placed them at the bottom. I put maybe 3 here, 3 there, and 2 there. And then just kind of give you an idea. Maybe 3 here, 2, and 1. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. you can. So just kind of plan it out in your head and kind of see what works best for your crocodile out there. I do want to mention that female crocodiles are very, very good mothers. They'll actually stick around and watch their kids grow up. Other reptiles will just have their babies and kind of move along after they do that. So they won't stick around and watch their babies grow up. Which I think is very sweet. There's some crocodiles that think that they're large and in charge, and there's some crocodiles that, I'm just happy on the sidelines. So, each has their own personality and is unique. So I'm just going to do a couple of teeth here. And again, you can see I'm just kind of going up the triangle area here and just placing them in there. Whatever makes you happy on the teeth. And then over here above the upper part of the snout, I'm just going to draw a couple of curved lines. A little biggie on this part, but just right there at the bottom of the oval, just kind of put that in. And you completed TikTok! Wow. You guys did a great job. I can't wait to see some of your drawings. I think we need to sign our artwork. What do you think?
Do I show them?
And then we also want to date it too as well. This is 11/16/2019. I did mention yesterday too. It was the 15th of November was actually Steve Irwin Day too. So I thought kind of appropriate for drawing TikTok too as well. So yeah, it's a legit thing. Read on the internet. Right? So now you have followed in the footsteps of our wonderful Disney